and do it once and then it's done.
In the grim darkness of the 41st millennium exists the Empire of Man, a backwards carcass of an empire comprised of many devoted forces, gigantic robot knights, religious machine cultists, and incredibly heavily armored women, most likely with sweltering abs. And one must know what those abs taste like.
Oh.
My Gamer Sups flavor is here.
Yay!
Sweet six-pack has arrived. A delicious and refreshing cherry pineapple blend. Play the sound.
I could fuck with cherry pineapple.
Yes, my Bricky's official Gamer Subs flavor is here. Sweet six-pack, not only in regular energy mode, but also in
Dude, I'm clicking on the video. Look at that. Do you hear this?
Caffeine-free. Cherry pineapple flavor is not the kind of flavor that just smacks you in the face. It is light, it is refreshing, and it's one of those things where you sip it and you go, not bad. And next thing you know, you are having your fourth refill the same day. And it is available
it's caffeine free.
Link in the description. Use code Bricky
for 10%
off your entire order. Not just for this, but for everything you buy.
Wow,
and I'm not
chat,
dumb.
10%
if you
off.
buy any of these tubs, regular caffeine-free of my sweet six-pack flavor, you will get a Muscle Girl 32-ounce shaker completely for free. There are only a couple thousand of those shakers, so get it while supplies lasts. I cannot believe we finally have this, but I told everyone, like, once you find out the flavor, you'll be like, yeah, that tracks. And damn straight does it track. Sweet six-pack available now. Code Bricky, link in the description.
You guys show me better than I show me. 10% off.
The age of knowledge and enlightenment has ended.
I do have a tongue piercing.
The age of darkness has begun. Roughly 60 million years ago, there existed aliens. And these aliens lived short, painful lives. They belonged to radiation-stricken worlds and often died of various cancers before the age of 30. These aliens, the Necron tier, looked up to the stars and found extreme beings of real power. Beings with the ability to create life. The old ones of the galaxy.
And they wanted the immortality
asked these
from
old
them.
ones for help. Please cure us of our ailments. To which the old ones said, piss off. So the Necron tier gathered together and did the sensible thing. They declared war upon these old beings and were promptly beaten into the dirt back to their short, painful lives.
It's just so funny because the way I imagine this, right, is like I imagine the Necrons as like a bunch of like sickly children that go to beat the ass of the old ones, right? And it's like they try to engage in elder abuse, but instead they get some like karate master that just like beats the shit out of them in one hit.
In the world of Warhammer, there is a hell. This hell is not like you and I know it. It's more of an afterlife, a place where dead souls end up. This place has many names: the Empyrean, the Sea of Souls, the Immaterium, and the Ether. But mostly, we just call it the Warp. While you and I know of hell as a place of horrors and punishment, the Warp isn't really that. Not in the beginning. It's energy, but the kind of energy formed from thought and soul, psychic energy, where the dead souls of people end up in a place that is impossible to understand. No laws of reality exist. Like, time is merely a suggestion, and it is not something that can be braved easily. The Warp would be like sailing the ocean in a pirate movie. To jump from your ship would be certain death. To stay in the sea for too long on your boat could drive a man mad. And there are many dangerous things lurking in those depths. Yet, the sea is not evil.
Enough
It
debating about
simply
satire, no one cares.
is. Mostly. There are more malevolent beings in those waters, areas that you do not sail towards. This would be known as the realm of chaos. The realm of chaos exists in the warp as a special area led by 3 chaos gods. Khorne, the god of combat, murder, and slaughter, with a pile of skulls taken in his name. Tzeentch, god of change, mystery, and deceit, a confusing paradox of lies, schemes, and sorceries. And Nurgle, god of rot, pestilence, and Genshin impact. All things rot in the end. And Grandfather Nurgle is waiting for you with open arms. These gods ruled their respective realm in the warp, sending their many followers against each other in the great game to be the most powerful of all the gods. So the warp
Everything is
exists.
toxic.
Hell is real, parallel to our galaxy, with the realm of chaos and its gods fighting for control. But there are also gods of real space, gods of the normal world too. They're called Catan, and they eat stars.
Do you think God stays in heaven because he too lives in fear of what he's created?
These star gods saw the plight of our poor Necron tier and how the old ones cast them aside and said, you know what? You guys want immortality? Oh, we will make it happen. We are the gods of the tangible, of real space. We can give you a cure. So then they ate all their souls and turned them into robotic automaton, feasting on their souls and leaving a hollow shell of an intelligence
That's when they went
left
in the
that is
furnace.
technically
Nom, nom, nom.
immortal. With the power of an entire species' souls, they turned their new robotic slaves on the old ones and hunted them to extinction. The
You know, it's funny because we were playing Detroit Become Human yesterday, and we were talking about at what point is someone like, could you be human enough based off of the emotions you're simulating and the experiences that you have had that have shaped how you simulate emotions? Because obviously, like an android feeling something is a little different from a human feeling something, right? And we were talking about the reason I bring this up is because when we went into the Necrons before a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about the Necrons, and I was saying how they don't have a soul anymore. So I was asking if it's basically like a residual emotions that they are simulating, how like simulating their motivations, basically. And I was just thinking of that again, because I can't imagine what it's like to just, well, I can probably imagine actually, where you feel the desire to have some sort of purpose and you will latch on to anything you can to give you some reason to exist, because otherwise you just go fucking nuts, right?
Necron tier, now the soulless, undying Necrons, got their wish at the price of their souls. But we can count the number of kind gods on an amputated hand. With time, the selfish star gods turned on each other, fighting one another for more chances at glory and power. With this, the leader of the Necrons, Seroarrt, the Silent King, the man who doomed his species when he accepted this deal, waited, planned, bide his time until he...
You guys said before that the Silent King might have gone outside the Milky Way, right? Potentially, and that was what stirred him to act. Like, that's a theory.
seized the perfect moment and turned his legions of undead citizens against the
He
star
definitely
gods.
did.
Gods
Proof Doko.
cannot be killed, but they can be broken. So Seroarrt broke the star gods into thousands of pieces and locked them away in vaults, taking their free will away as they did
Confirmed.
to them,
Okay.
and sealed them away as basically Pokemon to be used as weapons in the future.
Who's that Pokemon?
It's Pikachu!
It's the Void Dragon.
Fuck!
Seroarrt then, with his perfect memory, exiled himself for his sins, flying out to the darkness between galaxies to atone for what he had done. This entire situation, the genocide of the Old Ones and the rebellion of Zarek, will go down in history as the War in Heaven. It is the most brutal war the galaxy has ever seen and ever will see. This was a conflict that took an entire galaxy-spanning species and pitted them against gods that ate stars. The Necrons, rather crippled from, you know, the War in Heaven, decide to go to sleep in
What were the numbers of the Catan before the War in Heaven? He examines himself into the darkness outside the galaxy to repent for this. Oh, okay. So that's what the exile was. Okay, I didn't put 2 and 2 together that his exile was when he went out of the galaxy. Unknown. At least 5. Normally, I would treat that like just entirely as a joke, but like in this context, it actually makes sense.
gigantic tomb worlds on various planets until the upstart species of the galaxy died out. And so turns out when you have a war that lasts tens, hundreds of thousands of years and involves the genociding of multiple species,
It
the
really
old
is
ones
so
of the
hard
galaxy
to comprehend
and
the
the
scale.
consumption of
was
souls from an
16 million
entire
years ago.
race, the warp gets a little wacky. You know, if you had a kiddie pool and it was nice and calm, Korn is over there splashing about, so you don't really go in that direction. Nurgle has explosive diarrhea, so you don't really go in that direction either, but you can still kind of get in the pool. The pool's still fine. Turns out when you add a couple trillion souls to that kiddie pool, it'll make the waves a little more turbulent. And turns out a lot of them like to pick a side, Nurgle, Tzeentch, or Korn. So the once calmer warp, the once relaxing kiddie pool has now been bloated. A million years of war.
Is this only talking about like the Necrons and the War in Heaven? A princess of Scout. Can I just be a princess? That'd be nicer. I would much prefer that. Oh, no wonder it's the most brutal war. That's fucking insane.
Will certainly make Korn, god of murder and slaughter, more powerful. A million years of war will probably make Tzeentch, god of deception and change, a little more powerful. And good god, a million years of war will make Nurgle, god of decay, oh, just the tiniest bit more powerful. Now, entering that kiddie pool is no longer fun, it's dangerous. The warp is now a problem. Hell is resembling hell a lot closer to what we imagined it originally. The Sea of Souls and the Realm of Chaos are now intertwined.
I thought that they were always intertwined. Am I crazy? Was this spoken about before? I don't really recall. It was just part of it before. Oh, so it's like kind of side by side-ish, if that makes sense. Wait, hold on. Go back 1 second. Dude, this is so annoying.
The Sea of Souls and the Realm of Chaos are
Realm of Chaos in Warp, and then Sea of Souls is like adjacent in Warp, and then this all happens, all this brutality, and then they merge to be one thing of chaos in Warp. Question mark?
are now intertwined. So who else to brave the galaxy?
Sea of Soul is another word for the warp. See, that's what I thought. But he said it like it was separate. That's why I was confused. Because I'm like, wasn't this called like the Immaterium, the Sea of Souls, the warp, the chaos? They're all synonymous. But the way he said it made it seem like they were two separate sections.
Galaxy than a species that
okay,
won't
so it was
need
what
to
I
deal
thought.
with that. The Eldar are space elves. They have a lot of the traits that you probably think of when you think of elves. Tall, slender, pointy ears, bit more androgynous looking, no matter what DeviantArt will tell you, and a bit stronger.
It's just the barriers
on
broke down, that's it.
Emotional side. The old ones, as I mentioned, could create life. And when they were getting, you know, absolutely bodied by the Catan and the Necrons, they made some new races to try to help them. One of them was the Eldar. It didn't save them, but they're here now anyway. Oh, and also the orcs, but they're busy right now. The Eldar are a particularly psychically powerful race, so they were really adept at being able to handle the new turbulent warp.
Actually, I'm curious. When the Eldar were created, I know that there's not like a lot of information about this before, right? since this was so long ago. But did the Eldar feel any sort of form of like piety to the old ones? Because the Eldar as they are now, I find that difficult to imagine, right? But back then, perhaps it was different. They have ego now because they're the best, but did they always have ego? My understanding is that at the start, yes, but eventually they developed their own pantheon of gods. Eldar had gods that were either old ones or made by the old ones. Okay.
Chaos and good at killing Necrons, hence why they went to sleep. Being psychically gifted is basically like being a wizard, but you get your wizard powers from hell. This is called being a psyker. And basically, if you want to do cool wizard shit like lightning from your hands or reading someone's mind, you can do that, but you siphon the energy to do that from the warp. Luckily, the Eldar are very good at handling this without too many negative effects because, you know, summoning power from the Sea of Souls with the new Chaos friends can be a bit of an issue. But Eldar are pretty good at it. And you see, what's really cool and also awful about Warhammer is that most developed species travel long, faster than light distances by going through that warp. They create a tear in reality to unreality and move through it. Faster than light travel? Cringe. We go through hell itself to deliver your packages.
Faster than light,
For those
right?
of you who play Minecraft, you know how the nether is like a pocket dimension? So moving 10 spaces in the nether is actually moving something like 1,000 in the real world. That's basically what warp travel is. Just much like in the nether, there are a lot of things that want to kill you. The Eldar found a way to do so in between realities. Not regular reality, not the warp, something else. A purgatory of sorts, a fabricated psychic realm that allowed them to travel without fearing the negative effects of the warp. The Eldar were the perfect fit for the new galaxy, and they took it with open arms and pointy ears. The empire of the Eldar spread everywhere, and it spread all the way until now. The 21st century. That's right, while you were watching NPC streams on TikTok, the space elves were ruling the galaxy, and they did so for quite a long period of time. The 21st century came and went. Humanity grew and grew, all under the nose of their elf overlords. At this time, humans advanced, your classic sci-fi style way. We began to expand, colonize our solar system, terraformed our planets, created...
Was humanity ever actually under the Eldar though? Or no? No? Okay, I feel like it's a little... We were just lesser? Because saying under elf overlords implies that we were directly being oppressed by the Eldar, which, as far as I remember, that did not happen.
New and more powerful machines and starships. The age of Terra, also known as Earth, but we call it Terra here, was here and existed between the 21st century all the way until the 15th millennia. Not much is known about this
I understand
time.
what you're saying.
Not much needs to be known. Humanity grew up, sought the stars. It's classic. Then came the years between 15,000 and 25,000.
What are you?
The age of technology, or to some, the dark age of technology. This is when humanity reached a new apex of technological understanding. When you think of sci-fi, there's a lot of things you can think of. Star Trek, maybe Star Wars style. You can go cyberpunk dystopian. The age of technology was deep sci-fi, like a scientific prowess that fringed on magic. This is also when the first ever psychers began showing up in humanity. Individuals with the genetic mutation to be able to access the warp, and then because of that, travel through it. Humanity was no longer constricted to their early ways of travel. With warp travel, they could go anywhere in the galaxy. They equipped ships with gigantic AI machines, with everything you would ever need to know about mankind, and sent them out on colony ships to expand their influence across the galaxy. This was truly the golden age of humanity. And with every golden age, there is a fall. While the new human upstarts of the galaxy were reaching new levels of technology and prowess, the Eldar were engaging in debauchery! What happens when a species has everything? You can produce unlimited food out of nothing. Your need for farmers and workers, gone. You have dominated the stars and have created a fast travel system that doesn't rely on the dangers of the warp. You have nothing else to do. You have no struggles, no problems, and feel as if there is nowhere else to go. Well, you begin to experiment. The Eldar started harmless enough. You know, you take a serious interest in your species' culture, your arts, paintings, poems, plays. These are Eldar, elves, remember? Their emotions are heightened, more powerful than us humans. So your plays get louder. They start to push on the limits of your hearing ability. Your music becomes different, more deranged. It pushes the boundaries of what is art. The visual spectacle of art becomes more bizarre, more delusional, more eccentric. And let's not forget a very important sense. Touch. Pornography is one thing. Brothels is another. What if they all mixed? What if your brothels were part of your art and music? And what if those became more deranged? The boundaries of debauchery were not just met, but shattered. Next thing you know, murder is commonplace and often mixed with the art, music, and sex. Pain is a common byproduct of entertainment. Whatever sensation you can have must be increased, must be enhanced, must be taken to the limits.
I will say, on a side note, I think it's incredibly sad to have to require this level of stimulation to feel anything. Like, actually, that is a hella long, like super long.
Eldar Empire slipped into a nightmarish realm of debauchery and excess, with the worst of it taking place in a city in the Webway, a black market for these kinds of heinous acts known as commerce.
Oh, is this that little pocket where with the Dark Eldar that is basically working overtime for Slaanesh now?
Saw the writing on the wall, saw what was happening to their species and how far they had slipped. So they boarded continent-sized starships called craft worlds and left their empire, seeking a more enlightened, calmer existence among.
These are the Eldar that did not want to repeat the same mistakes, right?
Their peers. Some,
or they were like, this is going too far,
pushed it to even greater heights, relishing the pain and torment they inflicted on those around them. All during this, the warp, the yin to the yang of the world, was fed by these emotions.
This is around 23K.
By the psychic power of the Eldar, by the souls taken in these depraved acts on a galactic scale. And just like that, Eldar ended. Slaanesh, the fourth chaos god, was
and now
burst
this
into
is
existence
31
and consumed the souls of 90% of the Eldar population. Those that fled were spared the worst of it, and those in the Webway and Kamara were able to stave off the pull of Slaanesh so long as they continued to commit horrid acts of torture and violence. But for the majority of the Eldar, their empire died with Slaanesh's birth. The new fourth chaos god,
I thought that okay, so Eye of Terror was around 23K, right? And that was the start of the birth of Slaanesh, and then Slaanesh actually birthed 31K. Is it 30K? I thought it was 31.
Who thirsts, the god of unspeakable excess of pleasure, pain, hedonism, and perfection.
No, but the warp storm started to come because okay, so the Eye of Terror came with the birth. But the warp storm started to become unstable because of the debauchery from the Eldar, and that was starting to create Slaanesh. Okay.
Had been born. With the fall of the Eldar Empire came the ruin of humanity. Slaanesh's birth sent storms in the warp across the galaxy, making travel between star systems impossible. Coupled with a huge classic AI rebellion, as a staple in these sci-fi settings, humanity began to suffer the age of strife. Now, planets that relied on intergalactic travel were complete.
Age of Strife would be between 20 before 30k, because 30k is when Emperor came, right? So this would be around 25k, because he still had some contact with Mars around this period, right? And then 5k before the crusade is around when contact with Mars stopped.
Completely cut off. Long-range messages normally sent through the warp were snuffed out. If you were a planet that was great at mining stuff but couldn't get food, well, we're now
I think it's fixed. Maybe Windows Control did fix it.
Died with Slaanesh's birth. The new fourth chaos god.
I'm a little confused because the way that Bricky's talking about the timeline here, it implies that Slaanesh was like basically directly birthed around 23k or 25k. But wouldn't it be just more like an kind of embryo-ish compared to like her fully popping out around 30k?
He who thirsts. Humanity began to suffer the age of strife. Now, planets that relied on intergalactic travel were completely cut off. Long-range messages normally sent through the warp were snuffed out. If you were a planet that was great at mining stuff but couldn't get food, well, you know that movie about the rugby players in the mountains? Oh, and because of these insane warp storms and fluctuations, psychers began to appear among the human population a bit more often. Now, this initially had them hunted down as witches, because that's pretty common in this setting, but some deemed it right to protect them. Unfortunately for those people, psychers, because they open a gateway to the warp, don't really know how to use their powers well, and they kind of attract demons, who then force their way through the psyker as a conduit of sorts and begin to slaughter the population of your planet. The age of strife was a catastrophic period of time for humanity.
I just realized that we haven't actually learned a ton of what it means when someone actually gets taken over by chaos. Well, yeah, I know there wasn't like a literal embryo of Slaanesh, but it's not like... It's hard because she did pop into existence, but she also didn't. Because technically she always existed because there's no time in the warp, but also it's different because there was certainly a period for humanity and the rest of space where things got worse at a certain point.
And set back their progress tenfold over the not one, not two, but 5,000-year period. During this time, the age of humanity that we know began to form. Worlds equipped with large mechs for agriculture began to equip them with weapons to defend from alien and demonic invaders. Over 5,000 years, this became a custom and tradition, dubbing them as night worlds, a feudal society of honor-bound knights in gigantic robots that uphold the chivalric code to defend their worlds and honor. A group of individuals on Mars, after
and they have all the generations talking
to become
right?
inhospitable to human life, ran their entire lives underground on the few life support systems keeping them alive. Those technicians who could work on the machines and keep them operational were revered, and over 5,000 years went from skilled members of society to full-blown priests. The cult mechanicus, or tech priests of Mars, formed in the ashes of the red planet with a religious fervor and doctrine on the...
Actually, I just realized I don't actually know where Space Marines 2 takes place. Like, where is the hub that you're in? Is that just like a ship that you're on just chilling near Mars or what? Because I never really thought about it before. The battle barge. How big is that in terms of scale in the Avrax system? Space Marine 2 takes place 15 years after Girly Man returned. I know he was gone. 4 to 5 kilometers long. That's crazy. That's not near Mars? Okay.
The cult of the machine god. And on Earth, or Terra, techno-barbarian tribes waged war across the planet in a Mad Max style of blood and gore, until finally, who lived in the shadows of
You
Terra
know,
for millennia,
obliterating.
finally
A lot of you guys
revealed
do paint and
himself to
build
the populace. His
when
name
streaming.
was the Emperor. He deemed himself the Emperor of mankind. Where did he come from? I don't know. Why is he 10 feet tall and the most powerful psyker of all of mankind? I don't know. Why is he basically immortal? I don't know. Where'd Cotton Eye Joe go? Who knows? But he's here, and he isn't happy with all of you ripping up. Then, after taking over Earth, he reunited the Thunder Warriors into the fucking dirt. This is where we get the Imperium of Man, also known as the Imperium. The new faction headed by the Emperor of Mankind, with a treaty signed with the Cult Mechanicus on Mars to spread out and reunite humanity after the catastrophic Age of Strife. But first, the Emperor is going to need some smaller versions of himself. 20 of them, 18 of them, I meant, gene-crafted sons of the strongest human to ever live. All of them possess unparalleled strategic power, intelligence, formidable strength and size.
Brian
a
L.
real
Johnson.
powerful force to unite humanity and stop the chaos of the current galaxy. Speaking of chaos, you ever seen that image of that guy? It's like throwing the baby like a basketball. It's about what happened. The Chaos Gods intervened and grabbed the 18 Primarch gestation pods and yeeted them across the galaxy at a whim.
How did they even do this? Like, we talk about this a lot, but no one actually talks about how the Chaos Gods were able to do this. How?
Everywhere they could possibly go. A galactic game of keep away. So the Emperor had to get them back. So begins the Great Crusade. A crusade across the stars to reunite not just humanity, but the Emperor with his fallen sons.
So this is around 30 to 31k right here. Probably 31k, right?
First to be found was Horus.
Because the Emperor made a deal with them to create the Primarchs, and this was their end. What? I never heard anything about this. Is that true, chat? That doesn't sound quite right.
One of the strongest and most noble sons, the Emperor carried with him a legion of newly crafted warriors with genetic material made from their Primarch father. These are the newly made Space Marines. For Horus, his were the Luna Wolves. And as the Emperor continued on his great crusade, he found more and more of his sons, reuniting them with their individual Space Marine legions. Leman Russ, the cunning hunter with the Space Wolves. Rogel Dorm, the Phalanx with the Imperial Fists. Angron, the Barbarian, the very angry with his World Eaters.
Angron and Fulgrim both turned chaos,
Fulgrim,
right?
the perfect, with his Emperor's children, and Jagatai Khan, the swift, the stoic, and his white scars. Those were just some of the 18, and one by one his lost Primarch sons were returned to him, and their Space Marine legions returned to them. The Great Crusade saw humanity once again reconquer the stars, returning worlds of humanity back to the Imperium and killing any and all who stood against their noble crusade. But in the years of the 31st millennia...
Okay, so it is 31. Vulcan is likely the strongest since he's essentially immortal. Are the others not essentially immortal? I thought that they were.
Treachery would break this all apart.
Men, we don't know what we did.
Horus, the Emperor's most beloved and favored sons, named War Master for the Crusade, succumbed to the power of chaos and daddy issues, all because of that bastard Erebus. Oh, fuck Erebus. Slowly, Horus would become corrupted, turning the Emperor's sons against him. This begins the most pivotal moment in our story, and the one that has like 50 books written about it, the Horus heresy. 9 of the 18 Primarchs turned against the Emperor, and the following years were a bloody battle for the throne of Terra. The Emperor originally was working on a special webway project, just like the Eldar, to make faster-than-light...
His big secret project. Vulcan is tethered to his soul, so he always reforms after some time. Is that different from being a perpetual? Or perpetuals are like made, not born, right? He is a perpetual? Oh, okay, so that's what you mean. Okay, I see what you're saying. Wait, why do we all hate Erebus? Let me back up.
Turning the Emperor's sons against him. This begins the most pivotal moment in our story.
Right?
Like 50 books written about it. The Horus heresy. Half. 9 of the 18 Primarchs turned against the Emperor, and the following years were a bloody battle for the throne of Terra. The Emperor originally was working on a special webway project, just like the Eldar, to make faster-than-light travel significantly easier and safer. Really improve humanity to allow them to conquer the stars without the risk of the warp. Well, this big red idiot named Magnus kind of blew a hole into that. Literally and figuratively. So Big E over there is stuck on a gigantic golden throne, holding back the oncoming rush of demons and powering the Astronomicon. Basically a big North Star for people who are sailing in the warp to help them navigate. The Horus heresy saw many loyalist and traitor legions pitted against each other in a bloody war until it reached Terra itself. Horus, unable to break through the lines and with time running out, made a gambit and opened his ship up to be boarded. The Emperor took this challenge, quickly allowing someone else to take control of the throne as he teleported his way onto Horus's flagship, the Vengeful Spirit.
Who did he have take over his throne? Oh, Malkador, his number 2. The big G, right? I assume Malkador is also a very powerful psyker, otherwise he wouldn't be able to do this. I wonder too, since what do you call it? Since the Emperor has been existed since like 8000 BC, right? Who Malkador has been alongside him. Like, for example, you guys said he was like Alexander the Great, right? So I assume he would have been his number 2 in that timeline too. Right? Or like all these successive timelines, he would have been assisting him in some capacity, probably.
Out of his other son, Sanguinius.
Oh no!
I'm sure you've seen this image at some point. The Emperor then said, "I'm not gonna sugarcoat it," and proceeded to psychically blast Horus into complete oblivion, killing not only his body, but also his soul.
Oh, this is when he can't even get respawned.
Unable to onto Horus's flagship, the Vengeful Spirit. The Emperor, unable to truly kill his most beloved son, changed his mind right quick when Horus strangled the life out of his other son, Sanguinius.
This art is so funny to me because it's like, no, my poor baby, Sanguinius, no, my poor baby, no, bad Horus. Now you get nuked from existence. You can't even respawn.
Sanguinius.
Oh no!
I'm sure you've seen this image at some point. The Emperor then said, "I'm not gonna sugarcoat it," and proceeded to psychically blast Horus into complete oblivion, killing not only his body, but also his soul. Horribly wounded from this duel, the Emperor is returned to the Golden Throne in order to keep the demons at bay and power the Astronomicon, because without it, humanity would be flying blind. There he sits, slowly dying from his wounds and the strain of powering the Golden Throne. The only thing keeping him alive is feeding upon the souls of 1,000 psychers every single day.
Question. Why didn't they ever have Malkador and the Emperor swap? Since Malkador did hold the throne for a little bit. He died? Did he really? I feel like I missed something huge. When did he die? During this? Oh, he got burned up by the throne. Oh. That's crazy though. Because that really puts into perspective just how much more powerful the Emperor was. Okay, that makes sense. So he kind of turned to dust. Wow. Big E is just that OP.
This was 10,000 years ago. We are now in the 41st millennium, modern day. Warhammer,
Oh, it's Robert Gurley, man.
40,000.
Yes! Yes!
The Emperor remains on his throne. The Imperium is a rotting
Magnus was
carcass
stronger.
of an empire, a fascist, xenophobic cult that worships the Emperor as a deity despite him never wanting to be seen as a god. Over the span of 1 million
douchebag.
worlds, the ecclesiarchy, the church of the Emperor, is spread throughout. Inquisitors with unparalleled power root out any sign of heresy or
Who's
lack
this?
of devotion to their god Emperor. The other half of the traitor legions move about as chaos space marines, raiding and pillaging the Imperium, while the loyalist half does their best to keep the
Eisenhorn?
Empire alive.
Who's Eisenhorn? That's the dude, this dude, right? And then this is the dude that started the religion with that small planet, and then that eventually became the Sisters of Battle. This is what's his name? Vandir. Eisenhorn is an Inquisitor. Oh. It's weird to see an Inquisitor without the red eye thingy.
All throughout this, they must endure orc invasions, eldar trickery, the reawakening of the Necron race, and the Great Devourer, the newest tyrannid threat from the darkness between galaxies that has arrived to feast on their worlds. The theme of Warhammer 40,000 is regression and intolerance. Every major faction in Warhammer has had an empire that spanned the galaxy only to be crushed back to a hollow
Sister
shell
of Battle?
of what they once were due to their own failings. Culture, the arts, personal freedom, religious tolerance, the simple possibility that alien life might not want to kill us is considered heretical and is often met with a pistol to the head. There is no time for these things.
You know, I will say that realistically, right? If you've gone through all this, I kinda understand just not wanting to give aliens a chance at this point. Cause I mean, I kinda get it.
All there is
shit.
time for
Why is it? I did not know that was a
is
feature.
worship of the God Emperor and a million wars to be fought. To be a human in the 41st millennia is 99% of the time to live a horrible existence. To be one of trillions of other humans across a million worlds throughout the galaxy. A galaxy where AI is outlawed, so humans are repurposed and lobotomized to become slaves. A place where lack of devotion is met with death. And if you even have devotion, there's a good chance the threats to the galaxy, chaos, and aliens will kill you anyway. Warhammer is a world where you revel in being bad. There are protagonists, there are
Lambert.
antagonists, but every faction is some shade. There are antagonists.
Who dis? This is one of the Primarchs turned chaos, right? Abaddon? Maybe not. Angon. Oh, he's the successor to Horus.
Antagonists, but every faction is some shade of
How?
evil, because playing the bad guys is always more fun. And my friend, you have a selection. So pick up that las gun soldier. You and the other 3 million men and women in this single deployment on this single world in this single battle will now show them the might of the God Emperor. That weapon in your hands has killed 99% of the alien populations in this galaxy.
Not that
Unfortunately
flashlight.
for you, soldier, you're fighting the final 1%. May the Emperor be with us. Glory to the first man to die, for in the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war.
I really like these more cinematic elements in Bricky's videos. Who dat? Lion? Okay, I was like, that kind of looks like Lion, but older. Oh, the cool lion, not the 30k lion. We like 40k lion, right? We don't like 30k lion.
Thank you, everyone. I hope I have helped teach you about war.
I'm so shocked! It took me so little time to get through this. That is proof of understanding, I will say. Dang, we got through that fast. Okay, I now feel like I have... I feel like I have a lot more sorted out. I felt like I had to reorganize a lot of information the past 2 videos because I was so focused on learning other things. My brain is wrinkling. I feel the wrinkles expanding as we have spoken this entire time.